What if one night you received a message from a stranger telling you to reach a railway station before midnight, and when you arrived, someone was waiting there with a photograph of your past, a photograph you had never seen before, and then he told you something that would change the way you looked at your entire life? You didn't miss your opportunity. You were just waiting for the perfect one. But who was that mysterious old man, and what happened next? Stay until the end of this story, because the final message he left behind might make you look at your own life differently. Now, let's begin. At exactly 11:47 p.m., Noah received a message from a number he had never seen before.
What on earth
If you want to
does this
change your
message
life,
mean?
be at platform 9 before midnight. Before he could reply, another message appeared. Come alone. Noah stared at the screen. He typed, "Who are you?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No answer. Normally Noah would have ignored it, but that night was different. Only minutes earlier, Noah had made a decision he'd been avoiding for almost 3 years. He was going to quit his job. At least, he thought he was. At 29, Noah's life looked perfect from the outside. He had a good job, a good salary, and a nice apartment. But nobody knew what happened when Noah was alone. Every night, his mind filled with questions. What if I fail? What if I regret it? What if I'm making the wrong choice? He had become so afraid of making the wrong decision that eventually he stopped making decisions at all. 10 years earlier, Noah had wanted to become a musician. At 19, he spent hours playing guitar and writing songs, dreaming of performing on big stages. But one evening, his father looked at him and said, "Music is risky. Choose something stable." Noah listened. He put his guitar away, chose a safe career, and promised himself he'd return to music someday. But someday became tomorrow. Tomorrow became next year. And eventually, Noah stopped talking about the dream. At 11:52 p.m., Noah grabbed his jacket. He didn't know who had sent the message or what would happen at platform 9, but something inside him told him to go. The railway station was 15 minutes away. When Noah arrived, heavy rain was falling and the station was almost empty. He walked toward platform 9. 11:58. Nothing. 11:59. Still nothing. Noah sighed. "I'm wasting my time." He turned around. Then a voice came from behind him. "You almost missed it." Noah froze and slowly turned. An old man was sitting on a wooden bench. He wore a dark brown coat and held an old silver pocket watch. Noah stared at him. "Did you send me the message?" The old man looked at his watch and said, "Not yet." Noah frowned. "What does that mean?" The old man smiled. "Sit down." "I don't have time." The old man looked at him and said, "You've had plenty of time." Something about those words made Noah sit. The old man reached inside his coat and pulled out a photograph. He handed it to Noah. Noah looked at it and his face went pale. It was a photograph of himself, but he had never seen it before. He was 19 years old, standing outside a music store with a guitar in his hands. Noah whispered, "Where did you get this?" The old man asked, "Do you remember that day?" Noah nodded. "That was the day I decided to become a musician." "And what happened?" "My father told me it was too risky." "And then?" Noah looked down. "I chose a safer life." The old man waited, then asked, "Did you ever go back?" Noah's eyes became wet. "No." A train horn echoed through the station. The old man stood and said, "Come." They walked toward the other side of the platform. The old man opened his pocket watch and asked, "Do you know what most people are afraid of?" Noah shook his head. "Making the wrong decision." He closed the watch. "But that's not the real fear. They're afraid of making a decision without knowing what happens next. A train appeared in the distance, its headlights slowly growing brighter. The old man pointed toward it and said, "That train will stop for exactly 1 minute." Noah asked, "Where does it go?" The old man smiled. "That's the wrong question. What should I ask?" The old man looked directly into Noah's eyes. "Ask yourself, what happens if you don't get on?" The train arrived and the doors opened. Noah stood frozen. His mind exploded with questions. What if this is a mistake? What if I regret it? What if nothing changes? 30 seconds passed, 40, 50. Noah finally stepped forward, then stopped. The doors closed. The train disappeared into the darkness. Noah stared at the tracks. "I missed it." The old man nodded. "Yes." Noah asked, "So that was my chance?" The old man smiled. "It was a chance, not your last chance." He handed Noah the photograph and said, "Your problem isn't that you missed the train. Your problem is that you've spent 10 years standing on the platform, waiting for the perfect one." Noah couldn't speak. The old man continued, "You want to know where the train goes before you get on. You want to know you'll succeed before you begin. You want guarantees." He shook his head. "Life doesn't give guarantees." Another train approached. This time the old man stepped toward the doors and turned. "Are you coming?" Noah looked at the train, then at the photograph. For the first time he stopped asking, "What if I fail?" and asked something different. "What if I never try?" Noah stepped onto the train. The old man followed. For almost an hour, neither spoke. Noah watched the city disappear outside the window. Streetlights became fewer, buildings disappeared, and the rain slowly stopped. For the first time in years, his mind was quiet. Eventually, the train stopped at a tiny station. The old man stood and said, "This is my stop." Noah looked confused. "Wait, who are you?" The old man smiled. "Someone who knows what happens when you wait too long." He handed Noah the pocket watch. On the back were 3 words, "Don't wait forever." Noah looked down at the watch, then looked up. The old man was gone. The next morning, Noah went to work and walked into his manager's office. "I need to talk to you." His manager looked up. "What happened?" Noah took a deep breath. "I'm resigning." His manager stared at him. "Are you sure?" For a moment, the old fear returned, but Noah remembered the platform, the photograph, the train, and the question, "What if I never try?" "Yes," Noah said, "I'm sure." That evening, Noah opened an old drawer. Inside was his guitar covered in dust. He cleaned it, picked it up, and played one note. It sounded terrible. Noah smiled. Then he played another and another. Months passed. He struggled. His first songs were ignored. His first performance had fewer than 20 people. Sometimes he wondered if he had made the wrong choice. But this time, he didn't stop. Not because he knew he would succeed, but because he had finally learned something important. You don't need certainty to move forward. You only need the courage to take the next step. Years later, Noah became a successful musician. People often asked him, "What changed your life?" They expected him to talk about talent or hard work. But Noah always gave the same answer. "I stopped waiting for the perfect train." Then he would smile and say, "Sometimes the train you're waiting for isn't coming. Sometimes you have to get on the one that's already there." Maybe you're standing on a platform right now, waiting for the perfect job, the perfect opportunity, the perfect relationship, or the perfect moment. You're waiting until you're ready, until you're confident, until you're no longer afraid. But what if that moment never comes? What if your biggest mistake isn't choosing the wrong path, but spending your entire life standing still because you're afraid to choose? You don't need to know where the road ends. You only need to know your next step. So when your mind asks, what if everything goes wrong? Ask yourself something else. What if I never try?